So Marie-Pierre, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to Sons of the Wind?
Yes, I'm Marie-Pierre. I live here in Newburyport and have a corporate job, and I work and travel crazy, and I decided to get back to riding, as I did a little jumping as a kid, but never really got into continuing my dream. I had a dream to come back and do some riding, and I discovered Sons of the Wind. They were very kind to take me as a beginner with all the challenge that came on my first lesson, and to learn the classical dressage riding, and a lot of physical and a mental challenge in my first lesson, which I had to be very humble, but I got hooked and I'm still here.
Wonderful. Do you remember meeting her for the first time in that first lesson?
Yes.
Yes, of course.
Tell us about that.
Well, so Marie was a very serious student because she had to start out from the beginning on the lunge line, and we did months of lunge lessons.
Wow.
But she took it very serious and came, several times a week and
Yes.
on the lunge for months, and now she has 3 horses here and is still a very serious student.
Yes.
And comes
Yes.
back and forth with us to Florida and here in Massachusetts. And
Amazing. So tell me a little bit about those lunge lessons, and what do you remember from your first couple months of lunge lessons? What did that look like?
Yes, so as I was discovering the Sons of the Wind, I said, okay, this is classical dressage art, and I didn't know much about dressage in general. So what I learned the first time was really about your posture, your balance, the harmony with the horse, and work on your riding seat, and do it again and again and again until it's perfect, which is never perfect. But this is, my experience, and the reason I said, well, this is really art. It's like dancing, and you have to continue, repeat the movement, and repeat the same mistake over.
Yeah. And then you, as her trainer on those lunge lessons, what are you looking for when somebody's ready to come off?
when they have the balance and they have the feel of the movement. And we're very fortunate. Marie, she's in very good shape. She's very athletic. She skied a lot before, and she does paddleboarding, and she hikes, and she works out. And actually, she tells me even now she has a ball in her office at home and she puts her saddle on a chair.
Yes.
And she practices
Wow.
at home.
Yeah.
She has a corporate job, but she practices at home sitting on a ball to make sure that she's always working on herself. We're very fortunate we have students like her that take what they learn here and also take that home. So in order to move off the lunge line, when people have the feel and they have the balance and they have the strength, in order to move from that lunge line to then move on to having an independent seat,
Yeah.
to be able to move off that lunge when they're ready for that.
Love that. And you said that after your first lesson, even though it was hard, you were hooked. Like,
Yes.
what hooked you about it?
I was hooked, and I think it's the relationship with the horse and the rider, right? So it was not just doing the move. It was not about doing the moves. It was about the partnership with the horse, as well as understanding, the seat. And this is what the energy of the environment at Sons of the Wind got me hooked, because I did lessons somewhere else to start, and I was not hooked. And I came here, and I think it's the energy of the people, the horse, and I got hooked.
Yeah. And I'm curious, you mentioned you did jumping when you were younger. What drew you to dressage and not to just go back to what you sort of already knew?
So it's, the very little I knew about the art of dressage is mostly what you see sometimes in books and TV. And I was like, this is dancing. And I danced also a little bit when I was a teenager. And I was like, that's probably also safer than jumping when you start close to 50 back into riding.
Fair enough.
So that's the combination of both. I said, it's beautiful, I can do this, and it's probably less dangerous than.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me a little bit about your confidence when you were just coming back. How confident were you in the saddle?
Not so much. Not so much. And this is what's challenging, also when Maggie started me, is you have to encourage, you have to challenge, because if you're too kind, the person doesn't progress. And if you're too challenging, the person, is even worse. So the confidence, the first time I was like, okay, good. And then you lose confidence, then you regain confidence in yourself. So I think I had the confidence, the physical thing, but also kind of the unknown and a bit the fear of like, what am I supposed to do with this animal right there? So I didn't have a lot of, confidence, not in the physical ability, but the mental ability to do that.
And how did you help her through that, Maggie?
I think that's true with a lot of adults, right? As adults, none of us want to come to something new. It's hard to come to something new as an adult. None of us want to walk into something and be like, I'm bad at this, or I'm not good at this. It takes a lot of courage to come to something new as an adult, even if you did it when you were younger, which a lot of our clients, a lot of our visiting riders are people that used to ride when they were young. Some of them were very competitive when they were young, and then life happened and they come back to it later on. And then there's also the fear of you're riding a big animal. So there's not just the fear of not knowing what you're doing, but there's also the fear of you're riding a big animal. You can fall off, you can get hurt, things happen. Our schoolmasters are very safe. They're horses, anything can happen. But we have the safest horses we possibly can. So, we try to set ourselves up for success. We try to set our riders up for success. And as Marie-Pierre said, we want to challenge them because that's the best way to build your confidence, is to challenge someone and have them succeed at that challenge. Because that's how you're going to build your confidence, is when you're a little unsure, but then you do it, then you build your confidence because you're like, wow, I was nervous, but I still was able to do it. That's the best way to do it.
Do you have a moment that you remember that you were like, okay, I've got this and I'm having a breakthrough?
Never. I think this is something I learned from Maggie and Vitor. You have to celebrate small success, but the success you have today might not be tomorrow. But it's okay. So it's a gradual thing. It's not going to be always like this. It's plateau down and go up back, right? So it's a little by little. Like one lesson, I say, yeah, I got it, and then the next, I'm very humbled that didn't go so well. Still today, I think sometimes Maggie asks me, reflect back, because the progress, remember when you're much better rider now. So I'm like, oh, you're right. Okay, that's, I feel much better now.
Day wasn't great, but compared to 6 months ago, you're so much farther. And they're not bikes. We have a partnership. If we wanted to just only count on ourselves, we'd ride a bike. We'd play golf. But we have a partnership. So some days we come out and it's us. And some days we have an animal that didn't sleep last night. Didn't have the great, that's why we have a partnership. And we don't, you have to work with another living being.
And then speaking of partnerships, you now have 3 wonderful horses. So walk us through how they all came into your life, and you started with one, and how did you end up with 3?
Never thought, but so the first actually was, I think I didn't lesson.
Was your lunge lesson
My
horse?
lunge lesson horse. So we had 2 lunge lessons, one that I still ride, a Marusa, but Jeronimo was my first lunge lesson. But he's, very quickly I asked Maggie, can I brush him? I had like something you just find a connection with. He's super intelligent, he's very elegant, a beautiful white Lusitano, and he's kind. Like if I did mistake, he didn't kind of like, okay, I'll be there for you. And that's kind of the feeling that I said, all right. Vitor was like, why don't you buy this horse? I never thought about it. I was not ready. But that's almost, having a baby. I guess people say that, you're never ready. So you make the leap. And I think the winning success is once you have your horse, you can measure the success a little bit more because it's a partnership. And I was now fully committed after that.
Wonderful. And then how did your second horse come into your
Second
life?
horse was actually from the breeding program at Son of the Wind. Found by chance this little colt, Tico, that came up in the paddock, and my husband and I fell in love with. And it was really, my husband wanted to be kind of involved. He's not riding the horse, and Tico was an investment. So we decided we're going to invest time in training Tico in his future dressage horse at Sons of the Wind. And we actually have, a great environment because he can run, he has friends, so he's developing into a really kind and gentle and funny. We keep calling him the baby, but you can see he has grown up. And so we're looking forward what he's going to become next.
Yeah. Why was Tico a good investment for her, do you think?
This is something that her and her husband decided because, at the end of the day, they didn't need a baby. They didn't need a baby horse, but it was something that her and her husband decided together and asked if this was the right move for them. We're like, if you want to invest in this, like we're in this with you, we'll start the horse. We'll do this together. And we had the stallion here in training. We started the stallion, his father. I personally had the mare. And so we knew the bloodlines. We knew them.
That's true.
We knew that they were really a great mare and great stallion. We knew their personalities. So we knew what Tico should become as he grows older.
Yeah.
We also know hopefully, I mean, you never know, but the size, he should be the right size because Marie-Pierre is more of a petite rider. He will probably stay a little bit more petite as well. So when we were talking about all the things, we're like, if you were going to pick a baby,
That's a lot.
this would be the right one, which they happened to fall in love with him, but he really did fit the boxes that if they were looking for a young horse, he would be the right fit for them, personality-wise, size-wise, and he's also a very, very good-looking baby with a lot of mane, which her husband happens to very, very much like.
Yes.
So he ended up fitting all the boxes, and then now they get to have the fun of having him grow up and get started, and they get to go through all the fun of raising a young horse, and we're doing this together.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things that when
Was not planned either.
It was not planned, and it wasn't something we were planning either. He was here, and when they asked, we were like, well, you know, when we're looking at it, it would be a colt that you could enjoy and you could have fun with. And he will fit what you're looking for long term. By the time he's ready to go and ready for you to be riding all the time, your other horse, Jeronimo, at the time, will be getting older. He'll be in his late teens. So even time-wise, that way,
Good point.
he would be at the right age then. You know, when Geronimo's getting a little bit older and ready to step down, he'll be ready to step up into the training program that Marie is in.
And I'll have progress so I can ride a younger horse too.
Okay, so you had your schoolmaster, you had a baby. There's another third one in there.
And then there's this lovely,
And here he is. How did he come into your life?
So Jiodo also met in 2024, and I was in Florida, and it was important for Portugal, and Vitor just happened to say, hey, why don't you have a lesson with this horse? And really, immediately, made my riding better. Just the proportion of the horse, how he moves, make my riding better. This was kind of a life-changing. Once you have that, so Jeronimo and I were partners. He's athletic, expressive, very sensitive, completely different, but a lot easier for me to ride. So again, you know, Vitor had this skill like matching the rider with the horse, and again, not planned.
Actually, Jiodo was imported as a potential schoolmaster. He was not imported to be sold.
Yeah.
So he was putting her on
A lesson.
for a lesson. But it's one of those things, they clicked.
Yeah.
And sometimes when things click, they click.
Yeah.
You just have to.
Yeah, so I jump in and I told my husband I'm getting an horse, but he fell in love with it very quickly, and it makes my riding better. And with Jeronimo and both, I'm making a lot of progress, and it's a totally different ride. You know, for him, Vitor is teaching me quite a bit of trust and partnership with, you know, the horse, because he's different, he's more expressive. So I have to trust the partner we're making together to make, you know, the art of dressage and getting confidence into each other. And I think it took a year, but now we're in a kind of a good partnership, I would say.
Well, and then how do you help facilitate that partnership? What are some of the things that you've worked with them on to build that over the last year?
I think the most important thing with any partnership, it's the fundamentals and it's the basics. Like she said, the trust, and each horse is an individual and you have to ride them as an individual. So each horse you have to work on the fundamentals, but then trusting that horse and trusting yourself and having the confidence in yourself, because as Marie said, like coming back to this later in life, she had to build the confidence within herself to be able to kind of let go and work through all of that.
Just like Vitor keeps, enjoy,
Yes.
you know, enjoy. I'm like, enjoy, okay, I gotta enjoy. breathe, your seat, your leg, your position, your balance, enjoy. So I have to tell myself every time I ride, enjoy it, you know, because we become too serious as adults. You know, these two are making me enjoy.
Well, and then thinking about enjoyment is part of the process, right? But then what are some other goals that you have in your riding or maybe for your horses?
So goals, I'm not going to be competing just because I work too much and I, you know, don't want to add this to myself. But for me, really the goals is, of course, there's some movement and dressage that are, you know, for the balance of the horse and the harmony of the horse. And I want to be able to learn them. as we go into the dressage scale. So for me, it's some of these more complex moves to naturally be able to do them in a beautiful art as we go into the process. So every year I have like small goal. Okay, the first year I was like so afraid of cantering, so it was a small goal. Now it's like, yay!
Now that's easy.
That's easy. Little things like making a circle was so hard. Just a perfect circle because it's a dance and it's an art. So that was my other year goal. This year was a little bit more on, the lateral movement, learning them. So by next year, so I go a little step by step. I don't have I'm not gonna go too far, but I want to be having a gratification that actually people will say, she's a good rider. She actually makes this looks smooth.
Yeah.
That's my goal.
You are a good rider, though.
Yes,
you're
right. I have to say
you are a good rider, and you do make it look smooth.
You
Don't be chewing on people's hair.
He says, I love you. Maggie, as her trainer, do you have any goals for her or anything that you're looking to see?
I mean, she's made so much progress already, and so just to continue, enjoying her horses and being happy with her horses. And next year we'll start Tico, and that'll be a new, exciting step forward with that. But the two horses she has are amazing. And so for her to just be able to keep enjoying that, because she works really hard. Yeah. She has a very demanding job. So the horses, I think, are a great way for her to be able to leave work behind. Mm-hmm. And that's the most important thing, is horses are supposed to be fun. They're supposed to be something that you enjoy and come to the barn and leave that behind, right? So for her to be able to come out here and do this, right, and have a ride and get done with the ride and enjoy these guys, that's why we're here.
So tell me, what is it about Sons of the Wind that makes it so enjoyable and so easy or simple to enjoy your horses here?
Yeah, so it's not always simple. It is challenging, but it is simple in the way that every lesson is adapted to the individuals. And for me, like what we learn on Jeronimo is very different than how she teach me on Jiodo. It's that kind of attention. We have a great community of other riders, and we encourage each other, we laugh at each other, we challenge each other, and that keeps us going because we all have the love for the Lusitanos, and that's what makes this place so unique and different.
Yeah, I love that. What does it mean to you to have found riding like this a little later in life and be progressing in this way? It's a dream.
As I think everybody should be allowed to make their dream come true. So for me, it was a dream come true. I made it happen, even late in life. And you can make it happen. And you can find a time because they're really adapting the lessons. And while I'm away, the horse are in full training. And when you come back, they're ready for you. It's you don't have to start from the beginning, and they're actually evolving. And you come back and your horse is ready for you. So it is something that even at older age, as long as you can still be fit and balanced, you can do this. You can find a time and they will adapt it, either if you're riding in Massachusetts or riding in Florida, they will make sure that you can have your dream come true.
And then what is something that you're really proud of, what you've seen in her progress over the last couple of years?
Definitely the confidence that she's gotten. I mean, her riding has progressed a ton, but I mean the confidence that she's gotten, because she was pretty timid when she came, and now, I mean, this weekend her horse spooked at something because it's windy and we're in fall, right? So the wind is blowing, and she rode through it like it was nothing, which a couple years ago would have been hard stopping for her.
Yeah,
she would have wanted to get off, and it probably would have ruined the lesson. And this time she just rode through it like it was no big deal, and we continued the lesson, and that's just a huge step for her. It goes back to being able to enjoy your horses, right? So just knowing that now stuff like that is something she can work through and have a good lesson instead of being terrified.
Terrified. And this is also part of the lesson. It's not just doing the moves, as I said at the beginning of dressage, is to be in harmony with the horse. So that's what we learn also, is how to handle these situations where you circle the energy and you continue move on. And before I was, block. So as older riders, we have, I think, more fear in us and things like that. But my confidence, yes, has gained quite a bit. And also, I learned a lot about taking care of horses. And for me, it's something I didn't know before. I brush a horse. But now it's the whole care of the horse, and between here and Florida, and what to do and not to do.
Have gotten much better.
My braids are much better. And what to do and not to do, like the treats and making sure they have a good character. And it's really enjoyable to learn that.
Amazing. Anything else you want to share with us before we wrap up?
I think it said it all. I think the Sons of the Wind is very unique and special from both the breeding program and the lessons, and learning really the classical art of dressage in a different way, really learning how to ride in harmony with the horse. And the personal growth you get out of that is very gratifying.